Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It's Friday, it's November the 8th. It's a little late on Friday evening, Friday afternoon. I'm just getting a chance to do this. I finished early today and cut out of here and went and enjoyed the afternoon and decided I'd come back later and do the video. So I'm doing it a little bit later, and it was just more of the same of yesterday, except in the opposite direction. This is just a great trend to the upside. It really cranked up around 9 o'clock, I would say, and it was steady up all the way. It was really up all the way, really, from prior to the open around 7:30. It was up the entire day. We had a little trend coming down. We had a break here, big move to the downside. We kept trying to go lower and couldn't, and then kind of reversed, kind of a little reversal type pattern. Not a clear one here, but it's still a reversal type pattern. We made a low, then a slightly lower low, and then a higher low, a higher high, higher low, and that's kind of, you're trending another direction by that time. And they came back right here and tried to run the stops, and then from there it was all up, and that really was because uh, it looked a little like a trading range across here, and you can see that right across there. And probably should put that line on there because I had that there earlier, and it looked like it might be a trading range day, and um, well, we'll talk about it when we get there. You might have thought about going short here, but the trend line was way down here, and you don't know that you're going to get back there, and then it's looking like a median line in here, and which it only confirms it more up here. So um, it's a little dangerous going short right there, but when we had the failed second entry long, and there's still enough room to get out of here, I felt like it was worth taking. Then I almost put that one in green, but I liked it, so it's a really good trap right there. And it was starting to look like kind of like a trading range day, but when we bounced right off that line again and it took off, there was no doubt then. We weren't sure till we got through here, but once it rocketed on through there like that, there's no doubt. So that's what I saw early on. If you come back to here, it kind of looks like a trading range day, and so you can see that. But when we bounced right there, it was fairly obvious. You can see it, and then when we got on through there, we're going higher then, and you're probably looking for at least a measured leg from here to here, and then from here to here, and you can see that's, we started correcting, then we found resistance right across there for quite a while, and then it took on off, and let's just see if that was another measured leg. And what do you know? Perfect third measured leg. So doesn't get much better than that. Last 2 days have just been incredible days, and we just don't get a lot of days like that. So hopefully you had a good trading day both days and you didn't get fooled. And if you do get fooled early on, once you realize it's a trend like this, just wait till you get a chance to buy and hang on as long as you can and get it back. So that's what I saw today. But let's talk about the trades. I wanted to back way out just so you could see the clear channel, nice median line in the middle, kind of the resistance area. We kind of went into a trading range here. And this even looked a little like a trading, a higher trading range here. But there's no denying, if you drew your line off those first two swings, there's no doubt there's a trend line there, and you should have been able to find that one fairly easily. But let's back out. Oops, I did not mean to do that. I don't know how that managed to happen. I apologize, because to probably you guys, it's probably jumping all over the place. But let me show you what I saw early. When I came in around 7, it was looking like this. I didn't get here in time to catch this, but that's a heck of a move. If you were here, it's a second entry. It's a failed second entry long. Notice you're coming down, first entry pullback, second entry. It really is not a failed second entry, but you can treat it like one. It's still probably going to act the same if it turns and goes lower there, because it should have closed higher than this. That's telling you something. Plus you got the trend line here, so you're probably going to try to make a retest with a new low, and it looks really kind of like a double top, maybe a trading range, so you're thinking it may come down here. So you could have gone short there. I probably would have tried to use a lemon order, but it doesn't look like it probably would have worked. And this moved really fast. It's kind of a news item, so it moved really fast. This was the non-farm payroll, which came out, and unemployment and so forth. It came out at 7:30, and the odd thing was it came out real favorable. Um, the change in non-farm payrolls. That just shows you never know what the heck to expect when the news. You can't trade the news even if you know it in advance. You know, but the interesting thing is once they ran everybody out that probably was buying, then look at it go. It trends up all day long. So obviously in the end it was perceived as probably good news, but that's that's how it goes. And then you had some more University of Michigan confidence that came out around 9 o'clock my time, which was right in here, and that's probably what spurred this next move on through. And of course it wasn't anything exciting, I don't think so. But that you'll hear me say it multiple times. Don't pay any attention to the news. Be aware of it, but don't pay any attention to it. So you can't second guess it. But anyway, we were moving down. We had a break right here. But it just shows you, even during the news, the price action doesn't lie. It comes down here and it bounces right off the support area, tries to make a second leg down, reverses, and there you go. And I like this short here. It was a pullback, first entry. Here's your new low, your pullback, first entry short, pullback, second entry. It's a nice reversal, bearish reversal bar. And you're usually going to test that new low at least once, or try to. Easy scalp, and then it reversed and it never looked back. And I think it's too risky trying to go high right here at these highs. You can't do that, so you got to wait. And the first chance you get to really go long is right here. And that's a second entry long. Notice the new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. And it was right off what I originally thought was going to be the highs of this. I thought this was going to be the range, but it just turns out that's the median line, and this is the high. And you can see it held perfectly all day. We got a little overshoot here. That was off of this big rally off the news here. And then we just bounced up that line all day till we finally started to work below it. And then we took on off again when we hit the main trend line. That simple, really. Of course, it's easier to see after the fact. It's a little more difficult to see it in real time, but if you keep working on it, you'll get to the point that you can see that. But anyway, second entry long right there at the EMA. Then you go up, you make a new high, you pull back, first entry, pull back, and then when it went higher, second entry, and this is a little trap. Let me get this out of the way. Make this a little bit bigger. Notice the new high, you're pulling back, you go to your first entry, you pull back that little trap, it ticks lower and turns straight up and goes out the other side and closes on its high. If you didn't have your stop waiting at the top of that, when it went out there, which that's the way to do that. If it goes out on that same bar, it's usually, the way you want to enter. And if you didn't have that, you probably didn't get this trade. It took off without you and you missed it because you didn't have time to get a stop in there. It just opened, it closed and just kept on going and closed. I mean, all that moved pretty quickly right through there. And of course you find resistance at the highs up here. I originally had it a little higher and had to move it down there. So I just moved it down where it fits right there. Once it formed right there, but really it formed there because of the resistance coming across here, I believe. And there's a little trap, and like I said, you might have thought about going short there, but there's no reason to be going short yet. Your main trend line is down here. You might have had a short-term trend line here with two legs up, so you might have looked at, if you draw this little short-term trend line right through here and you get the break, and that was another reason to like that long right there. But if you like the two, and you get two legs up, and you find resistance right here and off that line. But this was what I was looking at over here, and you can't ignore that. So you might have thought about getting short earlier here, and I really wanted to draw this one in green, but when it went through the median line and came back and retested it through the EMA, comes back and retests it, and it's a failed second entry long, there's a trap right there. So it's okay to put a stop right there, and boom. That was a good trade. And if you did go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to draw that one in green because I'm guessing some people probably, and I guarantee you some of you got trapped to the short side right there. I mean, to the long side right there, more than likely. But when this thing comes back like that and it goes straight on through the EMA, notice there's no, there's no real rejection of prices off the EMA. Nothing can get back through. Notice how it kind of came down and rejected prices off of it there. Even right here, it came through and pulled back and rejected prices. But right here, it doesn't do that. It shoots right on through and it tries to go up and it goes back down. It tries to go up a second time and goes back down. That's not rejection. That's actually rejection off the lower side and the trap. So great place to go short. No reason to be going long here. There's no long set up at all. There is a second entry long right there. And if you got trapped right there, you just have to exit. But, if you know what prices are doing and they're most likely headed back to this trend line, then, you steer clear of any longs in there, especially knowing you just came off the high side. And if you recognize this is probably a median line in here, then you really understand what's going on. But you have to be able to see all that stuff, and it takes time. So the next one's a second entry long, another failed second entry short, another trap. And it's you want to take the counter trend traps. Notice that you made a new low here. It's kind of a double bottom. Prices come up, they pull back, they start going higher again, and they turn down again and fail and turn straight up. There's plenty of room to get out there, but it wouldn't have mattered. You put a stop there. It's a trap, and you never look back. Runners could just go and go and go and go and go. You could have ridden a runner from right there at, let's just see how far it went. Let's just call it 47 all the way to 67. That's another 20-point move, and you had a 30-point move yesterday. If you just got 1 point on those, man, that's just, it doesn't get any better than that. And, we love those kind of days. So when you get one, and there's nothing else you can really do here. There is, here's your failed second entry short. I just think it's too risky going long up here. So there's just not much way to get in that. You could have called this a double bottom right here, possibly, but I just think it's too risky. And you get a chance to go long right here. This one was a little aggressive too, but it's a pull. You got a new high, pull back, first entry long, pull back, second entry long. This would be your signal bar right here, this little guy. It makes the low. When prices broke above that, that was your second entry. I really, it's not a very good setup. So and even if you use a limit order, you don't save yourself but a tick or two. So if you're going to enter here, you might enter with a stop. But when this thing turned up and pulled back and closed kind of higher and then turned back down and went up, it was tempting to go long right there. And it's kind of a second entry long from here, and then you get a second entry long off the low. And it got a tick or two extra, so that was good for a scalp. So it's a little aggressive, but if you took it, but then guess what? You come down and you test these lows across here, and you get that little trap, and that's two tests of this breakout area right here. It turns up, and now it's kind of looking rangy. But this is acting as support, so another chance to go long. I like this one even better. You go long right there, another easy scalp, and then it comes back. And then it's obvious this is a trading range. And so, I probably should have drawn this one a little more aggressive, green probably. And I think I'll change it to green because, aggressive trader would go long right there. It's a retest of this original low 2 more times. It's bouncing off the support area. It's bouncing off the midline. It's a little choppy and it's a little rangy. I would probably try to use a limit order here. I don't know if it would have got filled. I can't remember, what prices did right here. It did come back to right here, so you could have at least got filled to the top of it. I don't know if you could have gotten anything better than that once the price trigger, but that's your signal bar right there, that little dude right there. And but then you got your low here, first entry short, second entry short. It fails right there off of that same line. It's a little close to the high, but your trend is up, your bias is up, your EMA is up, and this is probably where it's going to break on through, and it does. And then you get a breakout pullback long, but I don't like that setup right there. But when it tries to go lower again and fails and reverses, then you go long. And it was choppy. And once it started going into all this, if you didn't get filled when it started getting sideways, I probably would exit that. And there's no entries in here. I don't think there's anything worth doing right in there. You might have even thought about going long over here because you get the little break below all those lows in this trading range. But again, I just think it's futile to try to enter in this stuff. You're better off to wait. And you just never really got much more until, we overshot it here, so it's a good chance somewhere over here we're going to come over and overshoot it, but we really don't. We just bounce off of it again. We really needed to break above this bar. This is your signal bar right here with this bar, but it didn't happen. It broke above here and then it pulled back, so there's like a breakout pullback long right there. So if you saw that, you really could have entered either one of those aggressively because it's off of a trend line. It was proven, you got your two swings, you kind of proved it here, and this just confirmed it even more. But I don't like all the overlap, the congestion. And, people ask me all the time, when is it okay to enter out of congestion? And, sometimes it's not. When it's bouncing off a key trend line like that, the reason it's going into congestion is because there's too much buying there, and there's still some pretty heavy selling. It kind of takes it a minute to get the momentum to go the other way. So, I still don't like it. It's risky entering out of it, but if you're going to enter in congestion, and on days when you get real choppy like this, sometimes you don't have any option but to enter in congestion because you don't have anything but little small choppy bars all day. And even though that looks kind of like a small choppy trend, this is really a very strong trend. When you start to see all those small bars just stacking up and kind of slowly going higher and higher and higher, that's a strong trend. It doesn't look like it, but it is. And this really got you late into after 2 o'clock today. So I really didn't like much after about lunchtime today. Just not much happening. It kind of slowed down and just got kind of choppy. And it was a little overdone. But if you use the measured legs, you'd know this was your next target up here. If you were still long, or if you did get long in there. And there's some traps in there. There's a trap right here, so you might have thought about going long there. Yeah, you would have got hung up there and it wouldn't have worked, though. But here in the middle of this, when it's kind of working under and back up, that's kind of no man's land for congestion right there. If you're going to do congestion, it's got to be trying to get short off highs or long off lows, kind of. It needs to be a strong resistance area, but the trend is up, so you don't want to be selling here. So this is kind of more like it. And this is kind of a failed break out of this trading. This is a trading, oops. This is basically a trading range across here. I'd call it right there. Just talk about this a minute and then we'll wrap this thing up. And you can see that's a trading range, and it's just a failed break, and then we tried to go lower again and reversed, boom, and then you came back and tested it and it held and then went up. So, and then there's a failed second entry short there, so if you were still trading, that's after 2:30, but you could have gone long there. And that's what I saw today. We'll back out and just let you see it, but it's pretty straightforward. And, like on this trend right here, I didn't show you. Draw those little... let me back out a little more. Draw your short-term. It's probably going to be just like that. And you can see there's a perfect little channel working down there. And you break out there, you come back and test it. You go higher. And so follow your little breaks there. I really like to see it break a little lower, but it didn't there, so not much you can do. Okay, I had a little interruption there, but that was pretty much it for today. And Not much else to talk about. We've had two really good days in a row, and I didn't trade very long today, I'll be honest with you. Yesterday was such a great day that, I really made more yesterday than I usually make in a week, so I wasn't even that eager to trade today. Um, so once I had a pretty good day today, I just quit early and went and enjoyed the day. So I hope you had a good week. I hope that you took advantage of the last 2 days, the trends. If you didn't, you'll start to get this stuff with time. It doesn't come easy. It takes a long time. You got to work at it every day. You got to keep practicing. It's just like trying to learn a foreign language. It's going to speak to you, but you're not going to understand it or hear it until you start to get fluent with the language. And it just takes a long time and a lot of hard work. So keep that in mind. Don't get discouraged when you have a bad day. Use it to learn from it. Um, you learn more on your bad day. You learn more from your mistakes than you really do your good trades. But the key, and I'll say this, I hadn't said this lately, so I'm going to say it again, is to come in and trade on the simulator. And at the end of the day, don't worry if you're wrong or right. Try to take the trades based on being wrong, being right, not being wrong. But don't worry if you're wrong or right. If you have a bad trade, just forget that one, start all over, keep going, and then worry about it at the end of the day. You go back and you study the chart and you figure out if you had a loser in here, you study it and you figure out what happened and you try to understand why it was a loser. What did you figure out wrong? If you had a loser, you probably read the price action wrong. If you're reading the price action right, very few trades ever fail. There's always, if you have a loser, you usually made a mistake reading the price action. The price action's not wrong. It's the traders that are wrong. When we have a losing trade, we're wrong. So study the price action and figure out why you were wrong and learn from it. And the ones you did right, figure out why they worked. Try to understand it. There's a reason. Try to see if you can figure out what was going on and go from there. And with time, you'll be able to figure it out. Eventually, what will happen is you'll be able to glance at this chart and in about 5 minutes pick out every trade that was a winner, every trade and you'll know exactly why it worked. But then it takes a little longer to do it in real time. But eventually, you'll start to see one little thing in real time, and you'll say, hey, I see this trade. I recognize what's happening here. I need to buy here, or I need to sell here, and it'll work, and it'll reinforce it. Hey, I read that right. And then you'll start to notice little things like that, and then you'll just continue to get better and better. And that's the thing with me. I continue to get better still to this day. I still learn stuff, and I still pick up new things. And I still start to see things on the chart that most people won't see, because I look at it for hours every day, day after day after day. And anything you do long enough, if you keep doing it, you continually get better at it. And that's just the way trading is. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And, the more you learn about your adversary, which is whoever you're trading against, the other traders, the more you learn their tendencies, the better odds you got of beating them. And so that's what you have to do, but it doesn't come quickly. That's the thing that most people don't understand. They'll read the manual or they'll watch a few videos and they'll start trading and they're just flustered when they don't understand why something happened. They'll see a perfect second entry long and it'll fail. But it's not a perfect second. It's a second entry long, but it's not a perfect one. And there's a reason why you should stay away from it. And but it takes a while to learn all that. That's my main point here. And I'm getting up on my soapbox, and it's Friday, and it's late. I'm gonna get off, and I'm gonna shut this thing down and start my weekend. And I hope everybody else has a great weekend. Again, I hope you had a good trading week. And if you didn't, come back and keep working next week. It'll come, but it just takes a while. It takes a lot of hard work. So hang in there, stay with it. I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll